so often you come across an episode of history which is just so wacky you think that it couldn't possibly have been made up, and this is one of them. Flora Sands was the only British woman to serve as a soldier in the First World War, but not in the British Army, in the Serbian Army. And not just that, she rose to the rank of captain and was awarded 7 medals. Now, there's already a lot of biographies out there about her and videos for me to compete against, so I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Rather, I want to try and answer the question, which is on all our minds and which I think a lot of these biographies have failed to answer, which is why would a British woman join and fight in the Serbian army? Well, join me as we look at this part of Yorkshire's hidden history. Churches, banners, kings and queens, factories and big machines, castles, forts and in-betweens are stories that are told. But first, I need to set up a bit of background. As you know, the First World War started in 1914 when the Austro-Hungarian Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated by Serbian nationalists. This is because in 1908, Austria-Hungary had taken over Bosnia, and many Serbs within Bosnia and outside of it believed that Bosnia should actually be part of Serbia. As a result, Austria-Hungary on the 28th of July 1914 declared war on Serbia and invaded, and this is the context for Flora's story. Born in 1876 in North Poppleton in Yorkshire, Flora was 38 when the war started, no spring chicken. She'd already spent years training with the First Aid Nursing Yeomanry, which had quite an unfortunate acronym, but left in 1910 to join the Women's Sick and Wounded Convoy Corps, an organisation made up entirely of women dedicated to humanitarian causes. It's here that we get the first glimpse of our answer to the question, because in 1912 she went with them to Serbia and Bulgaria to help out in the First Balkan Wars. There, we can see her humanitarian dedication and her first experience of the country which she would spend so much time serving. When war broke out in 1914, naturally she wanted to help, but when she tried to join as a nurse, she was rejected due to a lack of official qualifications. Nevertheless, she joined the Volunteer St John's Ambulance Unit, who were among the first volunteers to leave Britain, and went to Serbia. There, she joined the Serbian Red Cross and aided in medical stations along the front line. It was there that she experienced the horrors which medical staff on the front lines have to endure. She survived a disease which killed 10 of her colleagues. She performed amputations, and she was attached to a regiment which experienced some of the toughest fighting on the front. However, during 1915 the tide began to turn. German forces joined Austria-Hungary, and together they forced Serbian troops to retreat through Serbia in what's called the Great Retreat. They retreated through Montenegro and Albania to safety, and during this time most of the ambulance units Flora was with had fled or were killed, and it was at this point that she decided to become a soldier. But first, we need to learn something about Flora. Ever since she was a kid, she's dreamt of being a soldier. She used to love reading Tennyson's Charge of the Light Brigade. When she was in the First Aid Nursing Yeomanry, she learnt drill, horse riding and signalling. In her spare time, she loved to shoot and drive racing cars. This was an absolute dream come true. But more than that, I think, it was an opportunity to stand alongside and help protect the people who she'd spent so much time with and whom she'd developed such an obvious affection for. As she writes in her autobiography, "Scorching days followed by freezing nights, when we lay on the bare mountainside in clothes soaked in perspiration with no covering but our overcoats. Incessant fighting, weariness indescribable, but hand in hand with romance, adventure and comradeship, which more than made up for everything." From that we can sense her obvious admiration and affection for the Serbian forces she'd spent so much time with, and so an opportunity to stand alongside them and help protect them and fulfil a childhood dream, of course she would jump at it. Serbia was one of the only armies in the world at the time who let women join, and many women had joined the army, so there's quite a precedent for Flora becoming a soldier. One of these was Milunka Savic, a Serbian hero who served in the Balkan Wars and the First World War, becoming the most highly decorated female soldier ever. Flora quickly rose to the rank of corporal and became something of an English Joan of Arc figure, held in great regard and esteem by the soldiers she served alongside. In 1916, Serbian forces had retreated to Greece and were fighting the Bulgarians in what's called the Macedonian Front. In November that year, along with other allies, the Serbians managed to capture Bitola, an area of Macedonia. Flora was involved in this firsthand, but received a grenade wound in the process. As she was recovering in hospital, she was awarded the highest military honour in Serbia and promoted to the rank of Sergeant Major. Though she was too injured to continue fighting, she spent the rest of the war running a hospital and raising money for the injured Serbians. After the war, she was promoted to the rank of captain, the first woman in the Serbian army to do so, and was finally demobilised by the government in 1922. The level of esteem and regard which the country holds for her can be seen through the fact that she even made it onto their national stamps. That's all I've got time for today. I wanted to do something a bit different in this video. I didn't want to just lay out the facts of her life. I wanted to explore why she was motivated to join the Serbian army, and so I hope that that's been made clear. I hope you've enjoyed this video, I hope you've learnt something new, and I hope to see you again soon.